what I hope to do today is to, let's say, inspire and enlighten you about a few things when it comes to, let's say, the work world and the world of entrepreneurship. Since this is a small group, this is great. So everybody's paramilitary, right? So what branches do we have? We can start over here.
Navy.
You, sir.
Navy.
Well, let's say everyone's Navy.
Navy. She's the only one
Army.
that's not
That's
Navy,
the only
I
one that's not Navy.
Army?
Yeah.
She's the only one.
Yes, I can hang out with you. You, sir. Where are you? Navy. All right. Navy. Great.
Navy.
How many people came to learn a little bit about entrepreneurship? All right. How many people came to learn how to find a job? Okay. How many people just came because the chips are free?
There's chips?
Wait, what?
Chips.
Well, he's eating chips.
He supplied his own.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. How many people look for jobs? Let's see what we got. Having a hard time finding a job or job?
That's why I'm in
You found
school.
Okay. That's why you're in school because.
Yeah, I already have a bachelor's in
I was
criminal
gonna say, the
justice.
hardest part was finding them to work around my school schedule was the
Okay.
hardest part to find a job.
Okay. And you said you're in school because you want to get the job that you want.
Yeah, I have a degree in criminal justice already, but I didn't find a job when I got out of the military, so I am back in school living off the GI Bill.
Gotcha.
Didn't ruin it for the rest of us CJ people. School.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right, because like everyone gets a criminal justice degree.
I got, I went to University of Maryland, and thanks to the Army, I did get my degree finished. I went to school here also, and because I had a lot of extra money left when I got out, so.
Man, I want that problem.
A lot of extra money that I didn't get to put into my hand.
Right.
It's different.
It
While you're
was-
in,
it was
you use the TA to get your degree.
Yeah, I had to use it to go to school, so I did in fact, I used as much of it as possible before they took it away, and they did in fact take it away. And so, but that's another story. Let's talk about this because we have about an hour, and as I said, because it's a small group, I think we'll be able to go through this fairly quickly. Now, I want to tell you, if you came to find out how to get a job, I am going to talk to you about that, but I also want to talk to you a little bit about entrepreneurship. And the reason why I wanted to share this information is because when I got out of the military, I was told that I could get out of the military, go and get a job, and until I found a job, I could go and collect unemployment. Nobody ever talked to me about being self-employed. Nobody ever talked about starting a small business. No one ever said any of those things to me. And so I'm going to kind of give you some tips, if you will, that will allow you to do both. Why do I know about the job part? My family says I've never had a real job. That's because I've actually never worked for anyone. However, I've hired people. So I know what the employees are looking for, okay? And believe me, I was a stickler for people, you know, when they worked for me. And so we're going to learn about both. So success after the military.
You see, we pointed at the laptop.
Thank you. That's
I don't know where exactly
That's
Kirsten
why
figured
you
it out.
hire people, because you don't know what you're doing.
You might have to be on this side.
This side, okay.
That should be fine.
Anytime you have
Or
to be kind
just-
to the left-hand part of your mouth.
Okay, so, oh, like a Michael Jordan
There we
kind of
go.
thing?
I lied, it's on that one.
Okay, it's that one. Okay. So it says the American dream still lives. We're going to go through this one pretty quickly because this tells you what I'm going to teach you today. It says we have the freedom to choose to win. So it doesn't matter what your lifestyle is like. You can win. And it's funny, we get to hear a lot of speakers say that to us, and sometimes it doesn't sound real, but I'm telling you, it's very real. It's all about choices. We have the freedom to choose a destiny that works, and a destiny that works for us. When I was growing up, and as I said, once I got out of the military, I mean, I was programmed from day one that I need to grow up, get a job, and be able to take care of myself. Period. That was the end of that. Nobody said grow up and figure out what your talents are and do what you love. You know, when somebody said that, when somebody first said that to me, I actually started laughing. And I said, okay, what are you selling me and how much does it cost? Because I didn't believe them. Okay, but we're going to learn some things today. What you will learn today, 5 most important elements for succeeding in business or on a job. If you already have a job, hopefully you'll pick up some tips that will allow you to kind of move up the ladder. How to lay a successful foundation as a civilian, and keys to doing what you love as an entrepreneur or an employee. It says an entrepreneur's journey. Well, I'm going to give you the condensed version of my journey. First, when I got out of the military, I was looking for a job because I was told, as I said, you get out and find a job. and I was told I could get unemployment. Well, I don't know what it's like today, but I know, and I've been out of the military, it's been 20 plus years. But I know when I went downtown to apply for unemployment, I think I stayed every bit of 10 minutes, and I said, yeah, I think I'll just go hungry for a minute or two. I just couldn't stand it. It was long lines and it was just annoying. So I wasn't going to do that. And then I was told, once I finally found out how it worked, because I called a friend of mine and she had done it, and she says, well, then every 3 days or so you got to tell them, you got to show them what jobs you're looking for and that kind of thing. So I'm like, yeah, I didn't want to do that either. So I set out to look for a job, and I found a job at a carpeting store where you could sell carpet. And yeah, I didn't want to do that either. So I thought, wow, this is not for me, and this isn't working. Now, the next thing that happened was, at the time, I was engaged to be married, and we were looking for a house. And so the real estate agent that showed us around, we looked at 3 houses, and we picked one, bought one, and then I said, wow, what is your commission? So he said, my commission is $4,800 on this. And I thought, now this is the job for me. I can do this job. So I thought real estate was a job. What I thought was, all I had to do was just go sit behind a desk. People would show up, come, and ask me to sell them properties. You know, and I'd make all this money. I'd make like $4,800 a shot. So I was counting all my money. And he says, well, go get your license. So I got my real estate license. And then once I got the license, I went back to his office, and he said he would hire me. And he says, because I'm thinking it was a job. I didn't realize I was going to be self-employed. I didn't know. And so I went back to him, and I said, okay, I'm ready to get started now. And so when I went back to him to do the job, and he says, okay, here's what you have to do. And he gave me this big phone book. Back then, that's how they did it. He gave me this phone book, and he says, you got to call people, you got to make contacts. And I'm like, whoa, that's not what I want. I want the $4,800. I just want the money. You know, but he says, no, you got to generate your own business. You got to find your own people who want to buy houses. Well, I'm not the sort of person that gives up so easily, so I thought, okay, you know, I'll give it a shot. Well, I called a few people, and they called me a few names and hung up on me and that kind of thing, and well, that bothered me a bit at first. So, but one thing I decided was that something in me said, you know what, why don't you learn how to make this thing work? So I went and I got some training. And I learned how to make it work. I left his office, first of all, because, well, let's just say I left. We'll give you the short version. I left. Went to another office where I got the training that I needed. I understood what real estate was about. I understood that, you know what, it was based on my efforts, my talents, and the amount of knowledge that I had as far as running a business and, of course, making sales. So it had to be both. But also, I had a college degree. And my degree was in English and political science. So, you know, I'm a fan of education. So the degrees in political science and English, and I'm thinking, you know, what am I going to do with that? Well, the thing about English, I took a lot of creative writing. So I learned how to market myself. So all of a sudden, this real estate thing that was a job, it became my career. I opened my own office eventually and hired agents to work with me. And I sold personally $52 million in real estate. And was in the top 2% of realtors in the state of Florida. But my agents, my thing was at this point was now I'm making money. So now I can actually help someone else to get to where it is they want to be. And the first thing I did was, the first person I hired was a veteran. Okay, why? Because in my head, I know that veterans are trained. Okay, they're trained a certain way. They're trained to get the job done. So I actually hired a veteran. Now, I didn't go out looking for veterans, just so happened the people I interviewed, none of them worked out. So I ended up hiring my first veteran, then I hired 2 veterans' wives, and so on and so forth. Now, it became my career at that point. Now, here's the struggle financially. You know, when you go into business or you go for a job, and this is now, keeping in mind, I haven't been out of the military, this time probably about 6 to 8 months. I struggled financially because once I realized I was not going to marry that guy and it was his house, okay, I had to find a place to live and food and all of the above. And I had about $1,500 to my name. But I did find a place to live, and I found a small apartment, and I had purchased a car. And back then, you know, the credit, it was different. My credit was still good, so back then you could just sign your name and, you know, put a little down payment down. And Now it's like you gotta give your right arm. But then I didn't have to do that. So I had my car, but I still had those payments, which were like $360 some a month. So I had to make these payments, which I only had $1,500. So I got my apartment. I couldn't make my payments, and I'll be honest, that's why if you decide to become an entrepreneur, you want to have some seed money. You want to have some capital. I couldn't borrow money because nobody was gonna lend me money in real estate. They didn't consider that to be a solid business investment. So all the banks said no. My credit was, well, it was just okay, because I was 3 months behind in my car. And back then they didn't have GPS tracking system, thank goodness, because they couldn't find my car. So I would hide my car every night, which and I did, and I would hide it across the street at the convenience store. It was open all night, so it never dawned on them to look there. They just figured cars are there all night, so it was right across the street. So I'd get up early in the morning and go get my car and then go to work. Well, of course, to make a long story short, I struggled financially because I had no plan. So whatever it is you do, whether you have a job, whether you become an entrepreneur, you want to have some kind of plan. And the key is that I'm going to give you the 5 elements, and so you'll see how do we go about developing this plan that will take us to where it is we want to go. You know, I get it. We hear a lot of talk about the economy. We hear a lot of talk about there are no jobs. But, you know, I have a few theories. And I've got the positive side of my family, and I've got the naysayers, semi-negative side of my family, who says that, you know, the world's coming to an end any moment now. So that side of my family says there's nothing out there. But I'm going to tell you something. And I said, here's my theory. My theory, if some of the people realize that they're capable of being entrepreneurs and starting a small business, this is what you can do. You can actually be a part of the solution. You can start to create jobs. You can hire people who are looking for jobs. And I'm telling you, if I can run a business successfully, I can assure you, anybody can do it. It is not rocket science, okay? And when I'm done giving you a few tips, you might realize, hey, I think I might go for the entrepreneurship. Or you can continue to go for the job. Either way, do what works for you. So the thing is, well, it became a success because what? I learned how to develop a plan. I developed a system. Whatever you do in life, you want to have a system. Let's say you're going for a job. I mean, who goes to a job like today just to stay there and be in that same position 5 or 10 years from now? We go to a job because we want to get promoted, we want to move up, right? So any job that you take,